On my time on this platform, no mystery regarding murder drones has plagued me more than Nori. It is literally repetitive that I have so many theories on Nori, and while I get closer to the truth and sometimes I get a home run, there is always one part about Nori that I've never gotten right. One simple fact that has evaded me ever since theory number 2, and that's Nori's death. Today's, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take everything we know about Nori, flip it upside down, and discuss how Nori never died.
Ah, here we go again.
I'll just say this plainly. If you want a good idea of who Nori is, let me direct your attention to theories number 20 and number 25. So, let's speedrun this segment, shall we? Nori is a carrier of the Absolute Solver that was experimented on in Cabin Fever Labs, gained a unique mutation, and was then possessed by Sin to kill all humans on Copper 9, to which she escaped, meet Khan, have a child, and presumably died. Whew! Okay, we're done. In that brief segment, I mentioned that Nori escaped Cabin Fever Labs, and in my previous theories, I've called it how this could have been her trying to rebel against the Absolute Solver, being the angsty puppet she was. But what if the Absolute Solver let her escape? Before her escape, I mentioned that she killed all humanity via possession. We have concluded that you can only get possessed if you have a strong Absolute Solver. Of course, in this photo of her, we see her in her right mind with no indications of anything being wrong. Heck, even Khan thought she was normal and was swayed by her. So what changed? Where's Sin? Was the amount of power so much that it knocked the Absolute Solver right out of her? No. I believe that the Absolute Solver was still present, but pretended not to be. Why? To spread itself. We know of only 2 ways the Absolute Solver can spread: via improper reboot, which is quite rare, or through inheritance. Nor escaping Cabin Fever Labs into the now free world would give her a much bigger dating pool and avoid inbreeding to unsuspecting worker drones who had no idea of the atrocities committed below, to which the Absolute Solver could spread throughout the worker drone population, making more puppets for the Absolute Solver. Of course, if that was the case, then why didn't all the experiments succeed? Well, pay attention to who joined Nori: Yeva and presumably her spouse. Nori and Yeva are the only 2 worker drones that we know developed the Absolute Solver mutation. Take, for example, Alice. She was one of the experiments in Cabin Fever Labs, but showed no indication of infection. Even her son, Bo, who we are presuming his father was also a carrier, shows no signs of the Absolute Solver, which can be present with babies. So in short, Nori and Yeva, being the most powerful, would spread the infection through selective breeding. Something that I must also call attention to is how little evidence on how Nori died. The only lines regarding any info on this death were this one line from Khan:
"And to put your mother out of her misery when the murder drones got to her with their nanite acid,"
and this picture frame that supports this claim. However, let me ask you this. If Nori's directive was to spread the Absolute Solver, then why did the murder drones, whose goal was also to spread the Absolute Solver, kill her? Let me put this in biblical terms. "And Jesus knew their thoughts, and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand." Matthew 12:25. In other words, it's sin killing sin, which doesn't work. This is one of the reasons why I believe Nori didn't die. Another plausible reason has to do with this photo in particular. While we do see the nanite acid, which supports Khan's claim, look closely at where they are. It appears as though they're outside. Why would Nori, who nabbed Khan in the first place to build doors to protect himself of what was going to be on the outside, go outside? You could brush it off that Nori didn't know when the murder drones were going to arrive, but you gotta admit, some of this, there's holes. It doesn't make any sense. So, now that we've discussed how Nori couldn't have been killed due to her being an important asset, then what happened? In truth, we don't know. But I can say how Nori's death was staged. Simply put, Sin via Nori screwed around with everyone's memory files to make them believe she had died. We know that via episode 5, not just Sin, but anyone with the proper equipment can screw around with someone's mind. We also know that the Absolute Solver needs to see the person to make a hologram of them. And look closely at the Nori hologram. It's probably the same one from the picture. Finally, when this picture was being taken, Sin could have hijacked N to stab this picture as a safety precaution for anyone who might think otherwise. I do invoke N here, but why is a discussion for another day. Nori would have most likely been driven out to some place where no one could find her, making the perfect conditions for someone else to fill her shoes, Uzi Doorman. But that's another discussion for another day. I do apologize for both my absence and the repetitive Nori theories. This is the last theory I will be making about her before I move on to character explanations once the series is over. Also, with most of my extracurricular activities over, I have time to kill before another extracurricular activity comes up. So expect some Murder Drone theories and some amazing digital circus theories coming soon. Today's secret word will be #please be right. And now for the shoutouts. Shout out to Mark Gaming 1752 and Vihan Aruru 6. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to like and subscribe. Thank you!